Shalom, shalom, my people. Shalom, 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 my people. Hey, we in we in dire straight times right now, which is critical for the so-called Negro, so-called 12 tribes of Israel. Basically, what we getting now. First, the drink of the day is natural, pure 100% grape juice. This is a copper cup. Copper is what you call that, an absorber. It absorbs energy. It absorbs pain. That's why I got copper bracelets on, copper watches. It absorbs. So that's what our forefathers wore. They wore gold material. That's why it's so at a high demand. But we really didn't know what it was made for. Know why we just chose. I thought we just wearing gold. We wearing gold, wearing different jewelry. We wearing jewelry. But each metal element has something that is good for more than just making material with. It absorbs pain, arthritis. That's why they make the socks, copper tone socks and all that there. But the more and more I dig into our history and learn about who we were, the better health knowledge I get to it. If you can understand what I'm saying, the more you know about our history, the more health knowledge and health conscious we become, because we were people that were health conscious. So stuff we did, stuff we wore was health conscious. Pearls. It has an energy to the pearl. You gotta look up our color. We had colors of pearl that was good for for us stones. They keep talking about our they'll say something like our birthstone, all that kind of stuff like that. But really, that is what we have a birthstone. But if you go to the Hebrew Israelite chart, we got 12 stones. And each one of the stones represent each one of the tribes. So they call your birthstone, but that's something they throw in there called January, February, March. But no, each tribe had a birthstone. Each tribe had a stone, so-called. So this stuff, when you get on like Kendra, they don't really know. The first thing they ask you, what is your zodiac sign and all that kind of when you were born? They're going by that Scientology stuff. But we have our own. They basically copied from us to and change the form around. We got black stones, different stuff. Why do you think we wear stuff like this here? Well, first, we get doing it. We doing it, but now, like I said, the more and more I study about our history, the more and more I understand about our history, about ourselves, because our forefather left us a roadmap. I told you, I be having different messages to write, but the Most High come to you and you got 3 stages of sleep. You got one stage where you remember things, one stage where you can barely remember things while you sleep, and the next stage is deep sleep. The Most High come in that first stage when He wants you to remember something. A lot of times you get them when the Most High come to you, you get a vague thing because some of that stuff might be too much for you. But He telling you in your dreams, so you can ask scientists and study. They study this stuff. But I figured this out just by studying the Bible. I didn't have to go to college. I'm figuring this out just by studying the Bible. That God dealt with us differently. In different times and different studies, God deals with us. But we don't know that because we have no sense of that because we don't read and study. So what I'm going to do today it's very interesting. First, I got a couple of things to talk about. Y'all remember the movie Woman King? And the name of that tribe was the Hornes. She came from the Hornes, right? And if you can remember the movie when they were capturing slaves, where I have the book, it's on Netflix. They put it on things. I went and bought the book. It's called Descendant. Well, most of our history is verbal, telling down from generation to generation. You go watch that movie. The guy they talking to, his name is Cujo. The own story of the last African slave. He was the last African slave. They say Africa because they grabbed us from Africa, but we were not Africa. They knew that because when you read the book, they separate Africans and Negroes. But they just call us all African. But we're not African. Well, this guy, Cujo, this is a real story that he this lady went to interview him and wrote down his story just as he was taught, how he was talking, back how they used to talk in the country days when they ain't know the words. So she wrote it down just like that. Original verbal notes. And he described, I don't know how God dealing with me. Because he got me reading these books and seeing stuff, and then I want to go see the movie. I go see the movie to see where they mind, see where Esau mind at, see where so-called Jews mind at. You got to do this stuff for you, because we are, like in Ezekiel, we are watchmen for God. So you got to go watch everything before you can teach your people. So this man, Cujo, came from that place where Woman King was. And in the book, it tell you, he when you take a note, he told how he was captured by them people. He was captured by them people on Woman King. Because you go look at the time, it was during the 1800s. It was during that time, 1865, 1860. It was during that time where he was the last, the one that come on the slave ship. Because in 1865, Abraham Lincoln signed the thing where you can't bring no more slaves over here. But in the book, on the movie Descendant, it tell you how two white men made a bet that he can go there and get them some more slaves because it was against the law to get them then. Because federal government was against the law. You got to go watch the movie because there's a lot to it. But I bought the book, and he goes to tell about that tribe who your girl portrayed. The king, he tell about that, how they killed his kid, how they chopped their heads off and boiled their skulls and made huts out of their skulls. So I know that them people studied this thing. They know this. They studied the book. They studied this book. It's called Last African Slave. Cujo, owner, the owner story of the last African slavery. This man told this reporter, which was the black woman, about how he was captured, how his family was captured, how they were lost by the movie that y'all seen Woman King, who they making them women over the man. So you got them actors playing these parts, knowing, I know they had to dig into it and find out what's going on, knowing that they was killing us. And you portraying people that was killing your people. Because guess what? You sold your soul. Because if you go back and I can't what the lady name is. You go back, she played in Fences, she played in Maid, and played in all the movies. But off of her to sell her soul, if you had murder she wrote, she was sleeping with women. Sleeping with white women. So that's how you get in the movie industry. You have to sell your soul. The women have to be gay. She be white men. You watch it. Go watch her come up. So when she played Fences, they said, "Okay, we'll let you play that, but now you got to play these parts for us." So she started playing all these y'all. They call it positive role, but it was negative role against your own people and against her playing lesbian and murder. How to get away with murder? It's a series. But what I'm trying to tell you folks is they put stuff in books. We have our stuff in audio by listening to our ancestors. Go to Deuteronomy 32:7. Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old. I'm going to get it all for you. Remember the days of old. (32:7). Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask their father, and he will show thee. Their elders, and they will tell thee. I'm going to tell you just how wonderful that is. So, this is what happened. God came to me in that first part of the dream last night and woke me up. I was up down there all night listening to him in my mind. He was talking to me. He said, do the one on books, because guess what? They finna get ready to start destroying all the books. They finna go back to when Maccabee, when they went to burning of the books, because too much knowledge coming out. So they're gonna be going to burn books. So our best education gonna be from a real live source. My daddy, when I was little, used to take us to Georgia, where he came from, called Warwick, Cordell, Sylvester, all the places back up in the little country towns where they had dirt roads. When this in the 70s, got dirt roads going down to your parent, my grandma and them house when they would live that back in the day, and they had a little small section on the other side of the road. So when if you seen a car coming, you have to get over. Let that car pass, or the car had to get over. Whoever gets you that slot, but your car gets out narrow the road was. If it rained, you were stuck. They had to wait. They had a tractor that used to come through there and plow the road, because it made out of clay, and make it where you can drive up and down it. So if it rained 3 or 4 days, you were stuck right there for 3 or 4 days. Couldn't get out. So my dad used to take me to, he was, I didn't really understand at the time. He couldn't read or he couldn't write. He learned how to write his name when he came to Jacksonville. He learned how to write his name so he can sign different stuff. Because back then he put X on it. Because by him being the oldest child of about 8 of them, I think it was 8, 7 or 8. If it rained, he went to school. If it didn't rain, he was in the field picking cotton and peas and all that kind of stuff like that. He had to work, or he had to go and put wood. So he only made it to the 3rd grade. But this man used to take us to out of town with no road map, no cell phone, no thing to tell you how to get there. But he would know how to go to different places because he would look at the stars and the moon. And that's how you know how to go east, west, south, and all that places like that. And we ain't never pulled over the side of the road and asked nobody nothing. So I'm giving you verbal. This is called audio book. Our audio book, because guess what? Our stuff is misread when they write it. Like the movie Woman King, not knowing that they hunted us, so-called Negroes, and that her tribe, the one cut our ancestor head off and took the skull and made it out of huts, raped our women, the tribe that she was celebrating with, her tribe. Sold us to the Israel, sold us to the Arab, which was the black guy in the movie with the red thing around their face, like, like they said, the red thing. Them Arab, because the original Arab were black. From Abraham maidservant Hagar, which had Ishmael, which is the father of the Arabs. So they don't tell us our full story, but I'm having to give you something for you can take back with you and teach your kids, talk to your kids and tell them. So my dad used to ride down the street and say, this is where they used to hang such and such, short the tree. This right here where Mr. Such and Such stayed at. This right here where the field I worked at. Didn't understand none of that. But I just thought it interesting. Just listen to it, because you know how they tell it, but they tell it in their way. I'd be sitting in the front seat looking, showing me all these different places. Some of them places in my mind, I can see the tree. Because he would always give us a sign. See where that rock is right there? 5 more feet. That's where you turn it. That's how he got around. Because he can read. But he can drive. He can go anywhere in the world. You can take us to Atlanta, Six Flags. Take us all over the place. This world, he always took us places, but couldn't read or write. But he would take us to these places. Because that's how God dealt with them back then. Because right now you have no excuse. So if you can't read or write, it's on you. Because you got all the technology. They didn't have it. If they got caught reading, they would get beat. Or if they was the oldest child, you had to work in the field if it didn't rain. If it didn't rain, they was in the field. So the father we found was in the 3rd grade. They found some paperwork when he was in the 3rd grade. They found like a charter. Or even back then, how they keep roll, they kept roll back then. This is a learning lesson. This is not no hooray. This is a learning lesson. This is our audio book. My dad taught me a lot of things, but he couldn't read or write. But he taught me more stuff than the computer can teach me. That's how God dealt with them. So I said, let me talk to my mama. My mama's still here. My daddy gone. My daddy been dead now 25, 30 years or more. And I said, let me talk to my mama. Mama 81. So after I got through working today, I always do. I call every day. So on my way home, I call her while I'm in my truck. I can, talk freely because it comes through the speakers in the truck. So I was asking her different questions. I said, Mom, you remember you in the third grade, first grade? Yeah. I said, who your friend was? Then she went to tell me what friend was. I said, how was it back then? She went to tell me how it was. She went to tell me how she picked cotton, how they had to pick peas, how the white folks would talk to them dirty and nasty and treat them bad, how they had to go to the outhouse, how they had to take a. She said she could remember this good as day. She was born in 1941, so I said, Mama, can you remember? She said, I can't quite remember it. I said, you had to be about 10 before you started putting in that field. She said, either earlier. So you talking about from 1940 to 1951. Because this time in Georgia, even though in 1951, it was like 1900 or 1800 because they country town. So they didn't progress like the other city part did. And she said she can remember going out there in this thing saying no niggers use the bathroom. Yeah, they had outhouses and buckets for them. She said that when they used to pick peas, if the cotton is not in cotton, the cotton wasn't high enough, they had to crawl on their knees in the field, picking these peas, picking this cotton. All of them had to do it. Then tobacco season, pea season, right now today, she got her fingers, the tip of her fingers, hurt for them thorns jugging her in her hand. Y'all think Esau finna change, but it's not. Esau is an evil man. The so-called Jewish people are evil people. They the one sponsored the slave ships. They the one paid for the lumber, to build the ships and do all that stuff. So then you got people like Russell. Everybody knows. I ain't gonna get into it. You know what he done to young women. That's why he be in Mali. He'll never be in the States. He always be out and bored. So he come up with a speech taking up for the Jews, saying the Jews gave him money. Yeah, they gave you money to sell your soul. It's gonna all come out about him too, because guess what? God gonna bring everything out. So you got these people come up here and saying that they gave him money because they sold their souls to them. So they have to do this, have to come out and protect. But guess what? He never came out. Russell, I said Russell, I didn't mean Russell Simmons. He come out to protect the Jews, but he never come out to protect his people. The man probably billionaire, but he never come out to protect his people, to say anything good about his people. But when all this stuff went on by Kyrie Irving, Ye, he come out speaking. Now they trying to say Kyrie Ye is crazy, and they're trying to say Kyrie is a anti-Semitism, or whatever they're trying to say. But it's not. But go back to my mama. So we talk. She tell me all this stuff, man. She tell me how they had to work in the field and how they weren't allowed to go to certain stores. They would have this wagon come by and bring the meat, bring their food. Most of the time they had their own meat. She said her mama had business. They would let them grow up to be chicken. They had their own meat, but the truck would come out for flour, meal, and different stuff like that. They had buy from there. They weren't allowed to go into town around these certain people. That's why you get that thing where they say, what they call it, sundown. It's real. It's real, people. The sundown, or either some places where they used to blow. Now they got a law they passed it where them people can't blow them whistles in them neighborhoods, because back in the day, it meant that when the whistle blew, that you had to be out of that town for downfall or the black people to get home. Well, right here in Jacksonville, or by Gateway, we used to hear that whistle. Everybody who done been around here done heard that horn go off at 12 o'clock. That was a symbol. We didn't know. We thought it just meant lunchtime. No, it meant get out of town time. See, our stuff is coming by word of mouth, because they not gonna write our stuff correctly in books. So my mama went on to tell me how later on. I said, Mom, how y'all got around? Did y'all have a car or what? She said, I can't remember. She said, well, I know we got around. Either somebody come pick us up and they drop us off, come pick us back up. My mama said she had asthma real bad. I can imagine having asthma because you're breathing in all that cold. You got to work in the cold, and then you got to heat your place with wood and smoke all in the house. She had asthma real bad. But she grew out. I remember I remember when I was little, she used to have that pump and pump in her mouth. I remember that. But she grew out of it. My mama caught hell back hurting. You couldn't do it. She went to school. Said she went to school all the way to 10th grade. I said, well, Mama, how y'all got to high school? Because the school they went to when they were in mid school, they went to a church about 2 miles down. And the church was still there when I was a kid, because we used to go to that church on Sunday. And she said they used to walk to the church. She said they didn't wear no shoes because they would go muddy the water with the mud on their feet for them to catch fish. They didn't go in class. She said, but when they got a chance to go to high school, she had to go to Sylvester, Georgia, which is, I said, Mama, that's about 21. I said, that's about 22 miles away from where you stayed at in Walweek. She said, yeah. She said, you had a bus. Y'all had a bus. They had a bus to take them to J.W. Williams High School in Sylvester, Georgia. So she started telling me all this stuff. I started reminiscing on it. And I'm learning this stuff as it goes. So that's what you need to talk to your elders. You need to talk to your father and learn your true history, because this is true history. And so my mama went to tell me the people that we was kin to. She told me about her father. Her father was a gambler. He was a bad man. He was mean in the street. So he killed the man for stepping on his shoes when he was gambling. So he used to break out of prison. They used to hide him in the house. She said she remember one time the people came and got him, and they was in the field. He died. Mama said he died in prison. She said they traveled back and forth. She said she was born in Jacksonville. I always thought she was born in Georgia. She said no. She said my mom and dad had traveled. So wherever city we was in, they had a baby. That's where they were born in. She said they were born. I said, how long did you stay here? She said long enough for me to get. They pack mom up and send them, and then she'd get in the car and go. See, her sister was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. They were born all over the place because that's her granddaddy was a traveling man. Her daddy was a traveling man. Then she went on to tell me about who her kinfolks was. She said that her mama was a Horne before she became a Ford. When she married her daddy, married my mom. When she married her husband, who was a Ford. But before then, my mama was a Horne. They some kin to Lena Horne. My mama said Lena Horne used to come down there and tell them. Later on, just come down and tell them how she was born and how she became who she was. She said how she was born was her mama, Lena Horne's mama, was married. But during that time, it was real deep slavery. The master would come in, make the man go stand outside and rape the woman. She said the man came in. I guess her mama told her the story. The man came in, made her mama husband, because it wasn't her daddy. Her daddy was a white man. That's why she looked the way she looked. So made her daddy get out, made her mama husband get out the cabin. And they would go in there and rape the women. So she was born from being raped by a white slave, a white slave master. So basically, Lena Horne is a white person because you are who your father is. It's sad, man. It's sad. Some of the stuff I don't know how to explain, know how to say it. But it's sad. The way they do us and the way we do ourselves now today. We kill ourselves, rape ourselves. We rape ourselves of knowledge. We don't study and learn who we are. We just destroy people. They done destroyed us by giving us false information. Talk to your ancestry, your fathers and your elders. Let you get your information there. Take notes and write it down. So Mama said Lena Horne came in there and told them how that story. She to come visit them. And she said that, and I went back and looked up who the slave master was a general in the Confederate Army. And that's why they need to take down all the Confederate soldiers things. So my mama became a Ford because her mama married a Ford, which is her daddy. I looked up them. He was a general in the Confederate Army. So they naming these people over different places, schools and stuff, when they owned slaves and raped us. That's our history. Our history was taught to audio. And come to find out, we should kin to the Jacksons, the Jackson Fives, through cousins. See, you won't never know none of this stuff until you start asking the elderly people there. My mama is the audio book. So I gather all the information for her. She's an audio book. But we don't know this stuff because they ain't never teach us this stuff. It's very important that we know this stuff because that's why Deuteronomy says, ask. We got to ask questions. Talk to your elders. They tell you why. See, you wouldn't know that. The reason why you wear your britches down because you was raped on a slave plantation. You was raped on a slave plantation And this is what to let you know how you was had. They had them demasculated you. So now, you see what you're doing now? I remember telling a guy 10 years ago, I said, man, the next up, they're going to have to wear a dress because the pants can't go no further without knowledge to be a dress. And every day, they start wearing dresses. You got the basketball players start wearing dresses. So this is a sign that you are in the end time. They have tricked us. They have hoodwinked us. But the best book you can get is an audio book from your elders. Sit around, talk to some of the old people. We need platform where the old people can come tell their story. We can learn a lot from that. My mama said they would they'd be on horses while they're out in the field. My mama 81. So this ain't a long time ago. Consider I'm 56. My sister's 64. This is not a long time ago, people. Don't make it think like it's 1,000 years. You just a couple of grandmas away. This is some serious business. Why you think they treat us? Why you think they getting on them so bad? So I went and bought the book that they got on Kyle Irvin for. I'm reading this book. They scared because we learning who we are. They scared because you better get it because guess what? The book gonna go up to probably about, what I pay for this book? $39, $40 maybe. But next time you probably get this book, the book will probably be $200, $300. Because that's how they do it because they know we can't afford them. So you get them now, you can get it. See, because hey, they brainwashed us through TV shows. The Jim Crow law, all that's in this book. This book proves to you that you are the real Hebrew Israelites. That's why they hate this book. Now it's too late. Go get your book before they take it off the shelf. Even if you don't read it now, go get it. This is why you have to get this book and listen to your elders. Stop dissing your elders. My mama told they hide the medical records. Because my mama said when my sister was born, she was born by a midwife. She's 64. There wasn't no hospital in Georgia. They had hospital. You couldn't get you was in the woods. You 5 miles off the road. You got pregnant, have midwife come and deliver your baby. See, this is the real. I said, Mama, how my daddy? How did it? I said, Mama, did you have a boyfriend inside my daddy? I was asking these questions. Did you have a boyfriend? She said, I didn't have no boyfriend. She didn't have no boyfriend. She said, my daddy was. I said, how my daddy look? He said, your daddy was a bad man. My daddy was a dark chocolate man. Because his mama was an Indian, part Indian, or all Indian. I remember her. I see her. She used to come here. My dad had shiny black silk hair when he was here. I said, well, how did he dress, Mama? He said, Jack Nelson, that's my granddaddy. My daddy. She said, Jack Nelson had them boys dressed up good. So your granddad was a big time man. Matter of fact, he was the first black sheriff in Warwick, Georgia. And my mama said he couldn't arrest niggas, white folks. He couldn't arrest Negroes, put it that way, because they weren't niggas at the time. They didn't know how to be niggas at the time. They didn't know how to be Negroes. Niggas is just when the niggas became when the so-called Jews took over the music industry, got us killing each other. That's when the niggers came, Nigger. But we were Negroes when we was in captivity. We ain't know no better. But now we know better. We acting crazy. You are a nigger now because you know who you are and you got books and stuff like that. It mean ignorant. You're a pure nigger now. Nigger because we got technology. You got your grandma instead of disrespecting them, trying to talk to older. I always love talking to older people to get information from them. When people look at people, I'm gonna tell you something. My mom said my granddaddy, maybe my dad, she said he was a pretty man. So they had money. He said my granddaddy had respect and money back then. And I said, well, how did y'all meet? She said, I really don't know. She said, I don't know. She said, we just met. She said, because, she can't remember a lot of stuff, but she tell me. I said, how did it, I got yesterday. How did he walk? She said, your daddy was paratoad. They used to call him paratoad. I said, guess what? That is why my son is paratoad. In bow leg at the same time. My daughter is paratold, and I walk a little bit of paratold where my feet turned in. That's how you learn your history, folks. I didn't know all this thing, man. Wow, God, I feel good. I feel good. Thank you, Lord. But check this out, people. That's how I learned today. I feel like $1 million, man. I can talk about every day I talk. I'm going to dig that information out of it. I just love this stuff, man. My daddy was a pretty black man. Long black hair. And she said that she had a miscarriage when she was 16. She was 16 years old. She said at that time, you weren't no going to school. She made it to the 10th grade. She said 2 years old, 2 years later, that's when my oldest sister was born, named Brenda. I think Brenda about 65 now. That's when my daddy left Georgia and came to Jacksonville. They had a cousin. His name was their last name was Nelson too. No, what his name was? Ray. Yeah, but they weren't our cousin. They were friends, but their last name was Nelson to my daddy. So my daddy brought him to Jacksonville. Can't read it right now, but brought his butt to Jacksonville because he was too drunk to drive back. So my daddy, I don't know how he did it. My mom don't know how he did it. So he ended up staying here, getting a job, and then 2 years later, when he got my mama, brought him back here. And that's how we got here. That's how we got to Jacksonville. So that's how you learn your history. Talk to your people, man. Now I know why one of my legs is paratold. Now I know why my son is paratold and bow-legged. Now I know why my daughter is paratold. Now I know why my sister had to have her legs broke because she was so bow-legged, because that's in the part of the gene. Now I know why my niece had to have one of her legs break because the generation going down. See, you learn from your history. You learn how they do us and how they treat us, and they still continue to treat us the same way. So learn your history before you can learn who you are. Search yourself, man, where you can know who you are, so they won't treat you this way, man. The reason why they treat us because we don't study and learn who we are. We don't need books. We need to respect our elders and talk to them. Get out of them churches because the church is corrupt. Get out of them churches and if you want to go to church, get your old folks around and talk to them. Let them teach you. Get them in there and get all your I'm sorry, I'm just disrespectful. Get all your elders. All the elders you can find them, gather them up. You can have a history lesson with all them people. Take notes, man. If you got a father, a mother, auntie, find them, man. Find them and find the information out and talk to these people because they got a lot to give. You'd be surprised how that would wake them up because they got a story to tell. A lot of them got all the information bottled up and nobody want to know. My new mission now is that when I see other people, talk to me. Tell me about my history. Tell me what was happening. Slavery wasn't that far ago, man. You're only 2 grandmas away, and some of you just a mama away like me. I'm a mama. I'm a mama away from knowing all the information. That's my mama. My mama, 81 years old, and she telling me about slavery in Georgia in 1950. And y'all think it's 5,000 years ago? No, sir. No, sir. Right here, right now. And they still doing it. They still finding people in deep towns in Alabama working these people for slavery. Esau is an evil man. Even though they disguise themselves as so-called Jews and this, they still Esau. Esau. They still Esau. Branching off. Esau branch off to these different people. They still Esau. Esau's still the mastermind. He's the puppet, the puppeteer. So learn your history. Learn your history. Shalom, my people. Shalom, my people. I love you. I love you. I promise I do.